who are online. Welcome to everyone. My name is Linda, and you know Reverend David, the co-host today.
So whatever your faith background, race, gender, sexual orientation, age, or ability, you know you're welcome here. We come together to encourage and support one another in our individual spiritual journeys. So wherever you are in that process, we are glad that you joined us today.
I would like to introduce our music team today. Michael Karloff on piano, Angelica, our vocalist, and on bass, Judy. Glad to have you.
So as we always do, I invite you to close your eyes if you wish, but let's open in prayer. So we take a moment right now to just gather our attention, bring our attention to this present moment, the only moment that there is. And so as we do that, as we settle into our chairs and open our hearts and open our minds to the presence of Spirit, we just allow ourselves to feel that presence. And our talk title today is From Turmoil to Peace. And I just want you to know that there is a peace beyond understanding that lies at the very core of our being. And that peace is available to us at any time. It just takes practice. But with practice, we can tap into it no matter what is going on in our life. And so I just invite you to tap into that peace right now, this moment. Open your heart to that peace. Open your heart to the wisdom that lies at the very core of your being as well. So as we align with that wisdom and with that peace, we just allow ourselves to feel align with that wisdom and with that peace. We just allow ourselves to feel a sense of gratitude for that peace, for that wisdom, and knowing the truth of who we are. And we are love in expression, and we are so grateful, and we pray this in the name of the living Christ presence, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, David. And now I would like to introduce our prayer chaplain today, Sean Sharkey, right here in the front row. He will be up in the prayer room just beyond the hospitality room. So you can join him after the service.
And also, we do have a prayer box up here. And if you do have a prayer request, there are prayer request slips on the box. And just fill it out, place it in the box, and we will have our prayer chaplain team pray with you regarding yourself or for a loved one.
I would like to remind the people here at online that 24/7 there is prayer support for you from Silent Unity. The phone number is 800-NOW-PRAY.
Well, now it's time for our first song, so I do invite you to stand up and we'll sing. And what do we have today?
Today, our first song is Coming Together.
I've got love, I've got peace, I've got joy flowing like a river. I've got love, I've got peace, I've got joy flowing like a river. One heart, one mind, one love flowing like a river. I've got hope, I've got strength, I've got faith to move every mountain. I've got hope, I've got strength, I've got faith to move every mountain. One heart, one mind, one love to move every mountain. I've got you, I've got me, I've got us coming together. I've got you, I've got me, I've got us coming together. One heart, one mind, one love coming together. We're coming together. Yeah, we're coming one heart, one mind, one love, coming together.
One heart again.
One heart, one mind, one love, coming together. One more time. One heart, one mind, one love, coming together.
Thank you. And we're going to slow it down now with Amazing Things.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take. Bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is there in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when, where, or how. You don't have to know right now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things.
We're going to jump to the bridge here.
You don't have to work it out. Just stay in the here and now. Let your mind rest for a little while. Sometimes deepest answers come when you're out there having fun. So close your eyes, take a breath, and smile. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things.
That one more time.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things.
I love that song. I really do. That was written by a Texas boy. Michael Gott wrote that. And
Unity Spiritual Center of Windsor is a progressive spiritual community that emphasizes personal growth, living consciously, and making a positive difference in the world. As part of New Thought and the worldwide unity movement, we strive to be compassionate, inclusive, open-minded, service-oriented, abundant, and spirit-filled.
Unity teaches that each person is a unique individual expression of God. Our realization of that truth evolves as we expand our consciousness through prayer and meditation. Unity emphasizes that we create our experiences of life according to the thoughts and the feelings that we hold in mind. Affirmative prayer is the highest form of creative thought, while meditation stills the mind and heightens our awareness of our oneness with Spirit. Our oneness with Spirit and our oneness with each other and our oneness with all of life. So living from that awareness, it transforms our lives and our world.
This month, we have been exploring and identifying the things that can be blocking our spiritual growth. You were invited to begin an honest self-inquiry to identify the beliefs, habits, behaviors, and any faulty thinking that is holding you back from being and living as your higher self, your sacred self, the truth of who you are. Our affirmation for July is, I say goodbye to things in my life that are blocking my spiritual growth. Will you affirm that with me, please?
I say goodbye to things in my life that are blocking my spiritual growth. Let's just all say bye-bye. All right, now we've got some special music.
When the weight of all my dreams is resting heavy on my head, and the thoughtful words of help and hope have all been nicely said, but I'm still hurting, wondering if I'll ever be the one I think I am. I think I am. Then you gently remind me that you made me from the first, and the more I try to be the best, the more I get the worst, and I realize the good in me is only there because of who you are, who you are, and all I ever have to be is what you made me. Any more or less would be a step out of your plan. As you daily recreate me, help me always keep in mind that I only have to do what I can find, and all I ever have to be, all I have to be, all I ever have to be is what you made me. But I'm still hurting, wondering if I'll ever be the one I think I am. I think I am. Then you gently remind me what you've made me from the first. And the more I try to be the best, the more I get the worst. And I realize the good in me is only there because of who you are. Who you are. And all I ever have to be is what you made me. Any more or less would be a step out of your plan. As you daily recreate me, help me always keep in mind that I only have to do what I can find. And all I ever have to be, all I have to be, all I ever have to be is what you made me.
Wow, thank you so much. That was beautiful. I don't think I've ever heard that song.
Who is it by again? Amy Grant
Amy Grant,
sang it. Yeah.
okay. It's just gorgeous. It really is. It just really touched me. I know it touched a few people out there. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, wow. Well, welcome, everyone. I'm just so glad to see all of you again. A lot of us met yesterday. We were invited to a pool party. We had a pool party and potluck over at Maria Datillo's house. And a lot of us showed up, and it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. So I'm glad to have seen those of you that were able to make it. I'm glad I was able to make it. So a husband and wife were driving through Nacogdoches, Louisiana, and they started to get into an argument about the right pronunciation of Nacogdoches. So they argued back and forth, and then when they stopped for lunch, at the counter, the husband asked the waitress, "Before we order, could you please settle an argument with us, for us? Would you please pronounce where we are very slowly?" So she leaned over the counter and said, "Burger King." That was a last-ditch effort for a joke. I almost hit it up, and I said, I didn't get a joke for the day. Found that one pretty quick. Anyway, and I hadn't heard that one, but it made me laugh. Okay, so today we continue with our exploration of Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, Your Sacred Self, Making the Decision to Be Free. So last week we looked at key number 4, to the keys to higher awareness, or higher awareness, freeing the higher self from the ego. So that was our topic last week. And for Dyer, the ego is nothing more than an idea that each of us has about ourselves. That is, the ego is really only an illusion. But as he notes, it's a very influential one. Dyer points out that that ego as a thing does not exist. It is an illusion, and entertaining that illusion can prevent us from actually being and expressing our true self, our higher self. So last week we looked at some of Dyer's suggestions for transcending the ego and knowing our higher awareness. And in his book, Dyer makes some suggestions as to how to get in touch with and transcend your ego. And his very first suggestion is to make an attempt to know your ego. Try to determine what is operating as the dominant influence of your life. Ask yourself, am I listening to my false self or my higher self? The more you can be aware of the presence of your ego and how it's manipulating you, the less influence it will have over you. The awareness of your ego at work is the first step to taming your ego. So today, and during most of the month of September, we're going to be looking at this thing that we call the ego and taking a really deep look at it and see how it can cause a great deal of suffering in our lives and the steps that we take to prevent, the steps that we can take to prevent that. And I will, by the way, I say next September because, as probably most of you know, I am going on vacation. I'm going on vacation for the month of August, so I will pick this up when I come back. However, this next week I am going to be here, and we're going to be doing questions from the minister. Ever since I did that last month, I've had more people ask me to do it again. So, and it was fun, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. I enjoyed it also, so that's what we'll be doing next Sunday. So, think of some questions you might want to ask me, because like I said last week, you're helping me write my talk, you know, and the talk's only going to be as good as your questions are, so. So, the term ego is used in a psychological sense as the operating system for our human self. This ego is essential for functioning, for the functioning of our human self. And it can be more or less healthy, developed, and mature. So the ego can also be used in a spiritual sense as the apparent I and me that's either identified with or not. And that's mostly what we're talking about here. That part of us that it's not real, it's not our true selves, but if we identify with it all the time, that's what we're going to be expressing, other than our higher self. So one of my favorite spiritual teachers, and I've actually done several talks based on some of his books, is Adyashanti. Or Adya, his followers call him. He's trained in the Zen tradition. He lives on the West Coast outside of San Francisco. Anyway, Adya says that who you think you are is just that. It is who you think you are. It is who you have been taught to believe that you are. It's a conglomeration of beliefs about yourself, ideas, opinions, judgments, and the ways that mind keeps thinking about a self. All the ways that a mind keeps thinking a separate self into existence. We think ourselves into existence. So Adya says, ego is neither positive nor negative. Those are simply concepts that create more boundaries. Ego is just ego. And the disaster of it all is that you, as a spiritual seeker, have been conditioned to think that the ego is bad or as an enemy and as something to be destroyed. This simply strengthens the ego, he says. In fact, such conclusions arise from the ego itself. So pay no attention to them, he says. Don't go to war with yourself. Simply inquire who you are. So Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, in his book Revealing Word, describes ego this way. Ego, the I. The ego is man, and by reason of his divinity, he makes and remakes it as he will. In this lie his greatest strength and greatest weakness. The ego of itself is possessed of nothing. It is a mere ignorant child of innocence floating in the mind of being, but through the door of its consciousness must pass all of the treasures of God. I don't know why, but I love that definition. He calls it the ego of itself is possessed of nothing. It is a mere ignorant child of innocence floating in the mind of being, but through the door of its consciousness must pass all of the treasures of heaven. Another one of my favorite spiritual teachers right now is from England, and that's Rupert Spira, and you probably have heard me quote him. So he says, first we imagine an ego, then defend it, then express it, then fulfill it, then try to get rid of it, then welcome it, then understand it, and finally see that it was non-existent all along. Love that. So ego is this activity, not an entity. The ego is this is another spiritual teacher that I'm familiar with, and I like this one also. He says the ego is an activity, not an entity. The ego is the activity of avoidance, the avoidance of relationship. So in other words, it's everything that we do to keep our sense of separateness. But the truth of the matter is we are all connected. There is only one presence and one power, and we, each and every one of us, is part of that. So there is no division if we are looking through our spiritual eyes. So today, my talk title is From Turmoil to Peace. So Dyer says that the question he is most frequently asked concerning the sacred self and the ego is, how do I know whether it is my ego or my higher spirit or self beckoning me at any given moment in my life? How do I know? And the largest portion of this book that we're studying right now is devoted to part 3, which is transcending our ego identities, which is what we're looking at. And Dyer, he said he wrote that to guide you personally, your personally authentic response to that question. That is why he wrote that section, just so you could really understand that and come up with the answer to that question yourself. So in his book, Dyer says that in any given moment in your life, you are choosing between 2 pictures or evaluations of yourself. Your choices include the one offered by your soul or higher self, which Dyer calls the voice of God, and the other one offered by the ego or your false sense of self, your false idea of yourself. And you decide how you view yourself and how you view others as well. So essentially, you accept either ego's picture of yourself and others, or that of your higher spiritual self, or what we would call our Christ consciousness. So again, our question is, how do I know whether it is my ego or my higher spirit beckoning me at any given moment in my life? And Dyer says the first answer to the question posed is, if it brings you a sense of peace, then it is your higher self at work. Your higher self is always nudging you towards a resolution of the conflicts that you experience in your life, so that you will have room for serenity and harmony, which is at the core of each and every one of us, underneath all of that mind chatter. So Dyer encourages us to pay strong attention to these feelings. Dyer says the only peace in your world, in your personal life, is what he calls the peace of God. If you are living with inner turmoil, continually quarreling with yourself and feeling anxious and fearful, then you are allowing your ego to dominate your life. If you feel serene and peaceful, ego has been replaced by your higher self. So you can always ask yourself, will this bring me peace or will it bring me turmoil? If the answer is turmoil, either in your thoughts or in your physical world, then you must examine how and why you are allowing ego to dominate your life. If the answer is peace, then you know what to do and how to think. And you know that your higher self is actively working for you in that very moment. In every moment of your life, you have the the option to choose peace for yourself. If there is only one takeaway that you remember from this talk, may it be that one. In every moment of your life, you have the choice to choose peace for yourself. Your false self, your ego, thrives on inner anxiety. Eckhart Tolle talks a great deal about the ego, and he says he talked about the ego's need to be constantly in conflict with something or someone in order to strengthen its sense of separation between me and the other, without which, he said, it could not survive. The ego wants you in a constant state of agitation to keep you from embracing your higher self. Dyer says we need to carefully examine your choices that block your experience of peace, of God. Just knowing that peace is always an alternative is a significant part of awakening. Replacing the turmoil that you so often choose is then a simple matter of allowing your higher self to take over any situation where you find yourself, where you are allowing turmoil to enter. Your ego will push you in the direction of fight. It'll push you away from peace. You must be ready to see it as it is about to happen and invite your higher self to step in. As we become fully present and aware of any difficult situation we find ourselves in, we open a space. We open a space for our higher consciousness to take charge. Dyer says that when we have an absence of peace at any time in your life, know that your ego, the false idea of yourself, is responsible. Some typical peace avoidance behaviors, he lists several, but confronting and arguing is one. It says nothing will bring about an inner feeling of turmoil, he says, than allowing yourself to be seduced into fighting or arguing. Have you ever known someone that you sort of might call a drama queen about finding something to argue, to complain about and argue about and talk about? So you always have a choice, okay? Always to argue or not to argue, to confront or not to confront. It is your choice. And as Dyer points out, behind this approach to life is the ever-present need to be right. When you give up the need to be right, you no longer need to be in turmoil. You don't need the turmoil. So another piece of avoidance behavior is being offended and taking everything personally. The person that cuts you off in traffic, it comes to mind. It's amazing how, something as simple as somebody pulling over in your lane too close to you can really set off this little alarm and some really sort of bad gestures and ugly words. So anyway, this, you're offended by this. Another thing is maybe, you're in line at the grocery store and the line is all the lines are full and, well, why aren't there are more lines open, right? We find so many things to really just bend us out of shape. So easy. Another thing is accumulating, acquiring. The more you have, the more special you are, according to the ego. The more special you are, the more you prove how separate you are from all the others who have less than you. And so, really, there is no peace in measuring your worth in terms of your acquisitions. If you try, that will never bring you peace. And then, of course, worrying. As Dyer points out, the more your inner world is focused on worry, the less time you have for experiencing peace. And worry is the absence of peace, and ego finds it extraordinarily easy to eliminate peace with worrying thoughts. I mean, it's just easy. We worry about everything. We worry about our children. We worry about our jobs. We worry about our relationships. We worry about our finances. We worry about catching COVID. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and we can get into that, and it just spirals. you will not find any peace in worrying. So these are just some of the typical daily beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that the ego manifests to bring about an absence of peace. So in what way does your ego manifest about an absence of peace in your life? How does the ego manifest the absence of peace in your life? It's going to be, if you give it some thought, it's different for each and every person. So some ideas for putting peace into your life permanently. These are some of the ideas that Dyer mentions in his book, which I'll mention a few of them. First, remember you must offer peace to have it. Dyer says you must teach peace to know it. Make it a practice to offer peace in as many quarters of your life as possible. Thinking of yourself as a peaceful person is the first step, but it's not the only step. The thought must translate into action. In order for you to know peace, work at curbing your inclination to create confrontation and disruption in the lives of others. Dyer suggests a simple practice of just pausing and asking yourself whether your ego, which loves turmoil, or your higher self, which loves peace, is about to act. And you know, that little pause will help you to send out a peaceful response, even in situations when you are feeling impatient or misunderstood. I sort of go out of my way when I'm in line at a grocery store or somewhere, if the person that is checking me out, you know, you can tell when they've had a hard day. I mean, you can tell when somebody's had a hard day. And these people at the grocery store, I mean, they put up with a lot. And I mean, there's been times where I could just see it written in the eyes and all over the face. And I just make a point of making conversation with that person and say, boy, it looks like it's been a hard day. And, you know, and then smiling at them and thanking them. I mean, just that little extra goes so far to make this world a better world. Keep in mind, this is the other one, keep in mind that grievances bring turmoil while communication brings peace. This one's an important one to me. Dyer says if you want peace in your life, rid yourself of grievances. The way to shed these grievances is to let go of your own self-absorption and to practice forgiveness rather than revenge. As you let go, you will feel a sense of peace taking over. If you are angry towards someone in your life, no matter how difficult you may find it, work at communicating with that person about your aggrieved feelings. Your resistance to communication is your ego's strategy. It was my ego's strategy. If you allow it to fester, you will keep the turmoil alive and never experience the bliss that brings peace. When you resist communicating with someone, remind yourself that this is your ego at work and that you are determined to have peace. I say this was my ego strategy, was not to communicate. And you've probably heard me tell this story. But my father and I we did not communicate. We did not get along the whole time that I was growing up. I hated going to see my mother because I had to be with my father. I didn't want to talk to my father. And my father didn't want to talk to me. It was as simple as that. And we avoided each other. I avoided that man my entire life. And it was only until I got into my 30s that I finally realized that I was part of the problem, okay? It was the way I was looking at it. I was judging him. I was judging him for all of the things that he had done that had pissed me off, you know? All of them. You know, all of the things that I, as a little boy, could not confront him with unless I wanted to get a real beating, which I did not want to get. But, you know, so it took me almost my entire life. I was well into my 30s, almost my 40s, before I was ever able to just finally realize that I was part of the problem. And I realized my father did the best that he could do. I realized that my father did not have the best role model. His father was an alcoholic. And my father did not have the best role model at all. My father was in the Army, and he treated us like all of us like little soldiers is what he treated us like. And, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. But my father did the best he could. My father always had food on the table. He supported us. He did not abandon us. I felt like he'd abandoned us when I was a little kid because he was in the Army and he was always being sent off to this place or the next. So that was part of my issue also, this, you know, feeling of me being abandoned. But, you know, it took me a long time to realize, you know, God bless him. He was a great man. And by the time I was able to forgive and forget and just to see him for who he really was, for the longest time I could not tell my father I loved him at all because I didn't. And now after making the condolences and making up and all of that and realizing who he was, there was not a time we did not say we loved each other. At every phone call we ended with, I love you. And I'm so happy that happened before my father passed. So the other one is drop the judgment, okay? Dyer reminds us that we must take a daily effort to look upon others without condemnation. Boy, that was another one I had to learn. Every judgment takes you away from your goal of peace. Your ego loves your judgments because with them you remain in a constant state of anguish and remorse. Keep in mind that you do not define anyone with your judgment. You only define yourself as someone who needs to judge. Guilty. Judging others with condemnation removes the possibility of you experiencing love. That was so true of my dad. It kept me from experiencing the love of my dad. So if you can practice just being still rather than condemning, you will be blessed. You do not have to pretend that you love something that you loathe. Just get still and let the judgment subside. Another one is give yourself the gift of a silent retreat every day. Even if it is only for a few moments, go back to that third key of higher awareness and shut down that inner dialogue and know the difference between the constant chatter and the bliss of that unified field of peace that is within each and every one of us. When you begin to have a silent time on a regular basis, you will covet it and insist on it being part of your life, regardless of how busy that you are. And this is the surest way to ease control away from the ego and move into the inner vision of peace. That is your birthright. And for Dyer, the greatest technique that he repeats several times for bringing peace into your life is to remind yourself to always pick being kind when you have a choice between being right and kind. And remember, you have that choice in all of your interactions. And then keep uppermost in your mind that there is a place within you where there is perfect peace and where nothing is impossible. If you give yourself the right to daily spend time in prayer and meditation, you will get to that place. Peace is yours for the asking. So as Dyer, as I bring this talk to a close, as Dyer makes clear, when your higher self is present, it always promotes peace. If you have a question about whether it is your ego or your higher self prodding you, the answer becomes obvious when you ask yourself, will this bring me peace or will it bring me turmoil in my life? So now I'm going to invite you to prepare for our meditation. So we're going to have a little bit of music. Is that what we're going to do? So just listen to the music as we relax in our seats and we prepare for our meditation.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So I do invite you to just totally relax in your seat. Close your eyes if you wish. Get comfortable. And I want you to remember that within each and every one of us, at the very core of our being, is a perfect peace. We are not all of the things that are going on in our mind. We are not the roles that we play. We are that pure awareness. We are consciousness itself, connected with everyone, everything, with all of life. There is only one presence and there is only one power. And we live and we move and we have our being in that consciousness. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So as we allow ourselves to just remember that truth, as we allow ourselves to just let that feeling of peace to really come forward, as we go deeply within, we touch upon it, we feel it, we become more and more relaxed. And if we stay in that peacefulness long enough, what we find at its very center is pure joy. The joy of life at the very core of our being. So I'm going to invite you for us to just spend a little bit of time in the silence, open and receptive to that peace beyond understanding, open and receptive to that joy indescribable. So let us just rest for a little while in the silence.
so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Oh, and my friends, we are. We are so, so very blessed. Thank you so much for being here today. And may you just go forth today and throughout the week just feel how blessed and remember how blessed that we truly are. And we are indeed. So now, as we have been doing, if there are any comments, any questions that you might have, we open up the floor space at this time. And Linda here will take a mic to you if you have a question or a comment.
I just found with the ego, when you love what arises, that it brings peace and my body relaxes, and it just works for me so well. Also loving it, loving whatever it is. And I also find it's helped me to just love everyone. It's hard to explain, but I'm feeling so different.
You're tapping into who you really are.
Yes, that's right.
Okay? As a spiritual beings, we are pure love, okay? And you're just tapping into that. And I see it on your face. Yeah.
I just wanted to, my idea of ego, what we call ego, to me, has made things very clear for me. I'm not sure whether it came from, how much came from myself and how much came from my reading. Sometimes you don't know. But anyway, as Wayne Dyer said and you said, ego is basically an idea.
Yeah.
And I think of it as a group of ideas, actually, as you know, anybody would realize. I think of the word concept. A concept is, sometimes they say it means idea, but I think a concept is a group of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So the ego is actually a concept, and it is what you said is the false mind, and or the false self, and the other self, of course, would be the God self, the one mind. And the difference is the ego, being the false self, and being just ideas. There's also a saying that Carol and I share. It's that somebody said, I don't cherish my ideas, you know. So they're only ideas. That's all it is. It's an idea. It's a thought. And it doesn't mean it's true, or it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't even mean it even exists. So anyway, that false self is always, it's like if you bought a Cadillac and you feel really good about it, but then after a few months it's just, well, it's okay, you know, or you see some nicer cars or something. So we have ideas, and then the ideas start to degenerate. They start to fall apart, and they can't support the self, because that's all the self is a bunch of ideas. So it's always falling apart. It's like a sandcastle at the side of a lake you've built with taking water out of the lake, but the sun is melting it, and it's falling apart as fast as you can make it, you know. So that's why we're always desiring things, and that's why we always have all these ideas, and some of them are good ideas, some are bad ideas. It's because that false self is always trying to rebuild itself, and it drives us crazy because we think we're full of desires and we don't really want those, and yet it's trying to build itself all the time. So what helped me so much is to realize, if you just when you realize that it's always trying to make itself bigger, and it's always falling apart at the same time, and it's always reaching for something, always wanting something, always needing something, when you realize that, the only way you can realize it is by looking at it from somewhere else. And that somewhere else you have to look at it from is your consciousness. So as you realize that, you tend to live in your own consciousness more, which is where we want to be, you know. So it makes it a lot easier when you can look at it, and as you said, it's not a bad thing. It's just what is. It's just ideas. And when you see it, it's just ideas, and you even look at yourself and you think, oh, I'm a bad person. It's just an idea. You know?
And we give all the powers to those ideas. I mean, we're the ones that empower
Exactly.
them, and they have no power except what we give to them. It's
And
we give them the power.
And when
Right.
you see it's just a sandcastle falling apart all the time, then it's just an idea. Then you can't ignore
Right.
it. You can say, okay, well, that's what it is. I've had that bad thought or that bad idea, or I judge that person. But really, I know that's none of that is really me. At my core, I am the God self, you know.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Thank you. That's great.
Anyone else?
Hi, I guess I'm just trying to come to terms to, you know how in unity we say that you're a unique idea in the mind of God? So kind of like flipping it like from when you're in your higher self, expressing through your unique self, then it's a divine, unique expression. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes I think when we think of ego, it's that individual self or that sense of, you know, and it's somehow it's meant to be, but it's not meant to be from the ego up. It's meant to be from
The spiritual out.
like an expression.
An expression, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Good point. Okay, if there's no other questions, thank you. I appreciate that. And Linda, are we ready to go again?
Well, I'd like to thank you so much, Reverend David, for that wonderful talk explaining the definitions of ego from so many different sources, and then how to change that and receive peace. Did you hear me? Okay. It was just so good, and I just needed that so much. It was just excellent. It makes me think of Course in Miracles, and if I'm being, you know, taken out of my peace, I can go to that saying that Jesus said, "In my defenselessness, my safety lies." And it just makes me feel so much better. And I don't have that feeling of, I don't know, ego, I guess, when I think of things like that. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And I would like to thank our musicians today. I'm so glad that Judy was here with us today. She's not here with us sometimes, and it was just great. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Angelica. Thank you, Judy. So wonderful to have our musicians.
We are so grateful for our music team.
Yeah.
We really are. Thank you so much. And so now it's time for us to take to heart our vision, mission, and statement of being, which is shown on our screen right now.
We have a global vision. Will you please speak it with me? Our vision is a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
And we have a sacred mission. Will you say that with me? We inspire and empower spiritual growth to awaken us and transform the world.
And we have a personal statement of being. Please say that with me. I am a dynamic center of the Christ light, mighty to unfold my good and radiate that good to all. And we have a few announcements today. Check out our weekly newsletter for all the classes and spiritual groups in July. Volunteers are needed for outreach. Join the team to help develop initiatives which actively support the needs of our community. And you can contact Donna Wojnarowski or Reverend David.
And also, just to point out, if you haven't looked at our website recently, we really have a great website that Liam and Carol worked on, and it's really, really looking good. And so you can find on our website, you know, everything that's going on, and so do check it out. And so Unity Windsor is setting up a booth at the Pride Fest 2022. And we are looking for volunteers to give a few hours of their time during this event. There is a sign-up sheet upstairs in our hospitality room. And anyway, so we are especially needing what, Judy? Saturday? Really need Saturday. Okay, that's sort of the biggest day, and so it's a long day. So anyway, if you can be there, we'd love to have you and to man our booth or woman our booth.
Yeah. There will be a temporary pause in our midweek meditations while Reverend David's on vacation. The midweek meditation will resume in September.
Okay. And mark your calendars also for Wednesday. Wednesday, August the 17th for a special fundraiser. And so anyway, Steve Parker and Lou Hamlin and let's see, Mariette Jones and then Donna Wojnarowski, all four of you have been, did I miss anyone? No, okay. Oh, but what a wonderful team, right. So we have a new fundraising team, and they have set up for Wednesday, October the 17th, a special fun with it's a fundraiser, and fun is the emphasis, and it's the barbershop bar for karaoke, special entertainment. There'll be door prizes, and this is on August the 17th, and it is from...
It's from 7 to 9 p.m.
7?
No, sorry, 7 to midnight, actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want to stay to midnight, they said they'd stay open to midnight, so it depends on how much fun you're having. So anyway, so I am on vacation, but that's not going to keep me away. At the barbershop bar.
At that Howard and Eugenie, right at the corner.
Barbershop bar. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And please join us next Sunday, July 31st. Reverend David will be doing a special question and answers from the audience.
So remember to bring some questions. And then also I want to remind you that Sean is our prayer chaplain today, and he will be upstairs in the prayer chaplain room if you'd like to have him pray with you. It's a joy to pray with Sean. I just want you to know that. So thank you very much. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. One more thing. We are having a platform team meeting right after the service for those on the platform. And so we'll meet, let's meet in the big room back here,
Okay.
in the big community room, and we'll just meet off in the corner over there, but we will have a quick meeting.
Please join us for fellowship and conversation directly after service today in our fellowship hall upstairs. Bottled water, coffee, tea, and light snacks are provided. All of our classes, programs, and services are made possible by your generous donations. Our heartfelt thanks for your continuous support. We've created many easy ways to donate, which you can find on our website.
And we do have our offering box is at the front door here as you come in from the foyer. It's our offering box, and if you have any tithes or contributions or love offerings, that's where you would place them. And we just, again, thank you so much for your continued support.
We invite you now to stand for the love offering prayer, followed by the peace song and the prayer for protection. Divine love, in me and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.